This is one of our barred owls. A barred owl is a very common bird you can find in Michigan. And this one here is with us because he has a wing injury. You can kind of see this wing on this side of his body here sits a little funny on his body. We believe he was struck by a car, and we acquired this bird in 2013, so he's at least 7 years old. We don't know how long he was out in the wild before he got struck, so we don't know his exact age, but we can guess he's at least 7. This bird here weighs about like 1 to 2 pounds, depending on when they last ate. If you go home and you have a carton of eggs in your fridge, you can hold that up, and that's about how much he weighs. Barred owls are the only common owl found in Michigan that has no tufts on its head, and also has brown eyes. All of the other ones that are common here have that yellow eye that you saw with the great horned owl, and they are tufted, so they got those plumicorns sticking up. Barred owls have this barring on their body, hence the name barred owl. You can find this owl living in forests. They like to live in wet forests because they like to eat not only small mammals like rabbits and mice, but they also love to eat crayfish and frogs and fish, and they'll sometimes go into the wetland and wade around using their feet to find food. It's really cool. This bird is also showing off a really common adaptation that owls have. You can see his eyes. He's got 2 eyes, and they are very, very large. If I were a human-sized owl, my eyeballs would be the size of softballs or grapefruits. So that's a good comparison, thinking about your eye, which is like this big, maybe, compared to an owl's eye. His eye is probably the same size as my eyeball. It's really cool. And because they have such large eyeballs, they can see really well at night. The larger the eye, the more light they can take in. And owls are special because they have only one type of cell in their eye. They just have rods. Humans have rods and cones. Cones are the cell in our eye that allow us to see color. Rods are the things that just take in light. And so by having just rods in their eyes, they can take in all the light they possibly can at night, so they can see where they're flying around and where they're going and where their prey is. So as you're looking at this owl's eyes, every now and then he'll blink and something weird will happen. So he has 3 eyelids. He's got a top eyelid and a bottom eyelid, just like we do, but he's also got this nictitating membrane, a 3rd eyelid that comes down from like the corner of his eye there and then down to the side. You can see it's a nice blue color. So this nictitating membrane acts like goggles. So they can pull that down, they can clean off their eye, but they can also kind of see through it. So if they're flying or about to capture their prey, they can pull that eyelid down and then protect their eyes in case something happens. I've got this cool trick that I can do. I can make my pencil go right through his whole head. Yeah. He's got a lot of feathers on his body that help to keep him nice and warm and toasty in the wintertime and during the night because he's nocturnal. And so he actually has about this much feather before I actually touch, and you can't see that in there, this much feather before I actually touch his keel, we call it, or his sternum. And so he's got lots and lots of feathers that he can poof out to keep insulated. They also go all the way down to his toes here. He's got little tiny feathers. It's almost like he's wearing socks. So they have a couple of extra adaptations. They have something called porphyrins, which are colors that show up when you're under ultraviolet light. So if we were to shine ultraviolet light on this bird, he might have some pink or red on his belly there, showing off those colors.